Welcome back to Twin Tarot. I'm Gary, and this is not David. So today we're going to talk about the Republican Party, David's favorite political party. So as we know, there's lots going on in the old Republican Party, and I'm starting to get a feel that there might be some, maybe not buyer's remorse yet, but they're starting to question their selection. This is that fuck around and find out, right? Trump's whole second term has just been a real shit show. And it's just blunder after blunder after blunder. Trump's out there saying how he's been perfect through his first 100 days and couldn't possibly do anything better than he's done. It's like, man, that's not the scorecard I've got. Some of the missteps that have occurred, some of the bigger missteps that have occurred in his regime, if you will. You've got all of the folks that got deported to El Salvador's Supermax prison without any sort of due process. You've got the whole Signal Gate thing. Those two were two huge screw-ups. But the Republicans didn't really react to this. So the Democrats, of course, are like, running around clutching their pearls with their hair on fire. But the Republicans seem to be, that's just Trump being Trump. Well, I think the Republicans are starting to get a little buyer's remorse. It started with the Qatar 747 that is going to be gifted to Trump. The $400 million Boeing 747-8. Trump's basically, well, why wouldn't I accept it? It's a gift. You say thank you and you accept it and you move on. Like this, and it's perfectly illegal. It's perfectly legal because it's all transparent. You can see it. He just doesn't have a grasp of how this works. Someone gives you a $400 million airplane, they're gonna want something in return. Or they've already gotten what they wanted and they're paying you back for it, right? So that's got a lot of Republicans, even the MAGA ones, kind of like, oh, they're starting to question this, right? This includes Laura Loomer, John Kennedy, who's a Republican in the Senate, Ben Shapiro, who's a far right-wing podcaster, and even Nikki Haley's like, not a good idea. They're kind of like substitutes. Like, if Obama had done this or Biden had done this, we'd be like up in arms about it. And it's like, anything that I've mentioned to this point, if Obama had done it or Biden had done it, you'd be like spitting nails. You'd be so outraged about this stuff. But with Trump, you give him a pass. Well, the latest one just came along. And it's the Republicans in the House basically shot down Trump's big, beautiful budget bill that Mike Johnson's trying to shove through, which includes, his tax cuts from 2017 permanent, making big cuts to Medicaid, and also the tax to corporations would be permanently cut. Or reduced to a lower percentage. Some of the Republicans in New York, for example, are fighting because they want to, in California and probably Hawaii. I don't know if there's any Republicans in Hawaii at this point, though. But they're fighting for increases in SALT, which is the tax deductions you're allowed to take for your mortgage interest and your property taxes. Because, if you live in like Silicon Valley or San Francisco, San Jose, some of the more expensive parts of Southern California, like San Diego or Los Angeles, for example, your property taxes and mortgage interest can be impressive. Certainly, you're going to eclipse $10,000, which is what the current deduction is. When he implemented that, Laura and I lost a pretty big tax deduction. Because the property taxes in California are just, it's not that the taxes themselves are egregious, the property values are egregious and the taxes go along with it. So they basically shot down any ability for Mike Johnson to try and get this big, beautiful tax plan approved by the Congress and sent to the Senate this week. So they'll be working through the weekend and into next week to try and find some middle ground. But the MAGA fiscal hawks are like, there's not enough reductions in this, and the Democrats are like, we're not supporting this. It's a terrible budget. And so they're going to have a real tough time trying to find any sort of middle ground that gets all of the Republicans or enough Republicans voting for it to get it to the Senate. So we're starting to see pushback on Trump's agenda in Congress. So what I want to look at right now is, how is the Republican Party looking? How is MAGA looking? And how is Trump looking? One of the things that when I did my readings on when is the Trump era going to be coming to an end, one of the things was Congress will grow a spine. You're also seeing the Supreme Court is starting to push back on some of Trump's immigration tactics. And of course, Thomas and Alito are both suggesting that that Supreme Court's ruling doesn't, they probably shouldn't even be ruling on this, and it's out of their jurisdiction, and giving them helpful pointers on other things they can try to get this basically deporting people without their due process, right? So let's take a look. How is Congress looking? The Republicans in Congress, how are they feeling about Trump? And are they getting to the point where they're realizing that supporting Trump is threatening their ability to get reelected, and hence spinal growth starting? Okay, foundation for entertainment purposes only. Foundation of the reading is the Eight of Pentacles. Go hard at work trying to work on the budget, cut spending, cut benefits. They don't want to raise taxes. Why would you want to do that? The cross the challenges, relationships that they've had, agreements they've had. So, they want to get to work. They want to provide some things of value, but their past agreements are preventing them. Supporting Trump's agenda being the past agreements. The energy underneath it is the Empress. There should be enough wealth for all of us in this country. I'm not going to call that a Mother Russia card. I think this is just really, they realize that the United States should have world-class health care for its citizens. It should have world-class education. It should have all of these programs. But it's very difficult to do this if the rich people just don't want to pay their fair share, and corporations don't want to pay their fair share to finance this. In the past, Ten of Pentacles, it's all about Trump's legacy and honoring Trump, and all the money that Trump has to support their campaigns or support a primary opponent if they don't agree to Trump in his wishes, if you will, his agenda. Because if they disagree with Trump, he threatens to primary them. Current energy is the Queen of Swords. They're starting to see the consequences of Trump's actions. Their constituents are going to town halls and berating them. They're not even going to their town halls because they don't want to face the ire of their constituents. They're seeing the grift in real time. Trump's not even trying to be subtle or hide it anymore. He's putting it out there in full force, in the light for all to see. Overarching energy is the Knight of Swords. This is just reckless behavior. Reckless disregard to the Constitution. Reckless disregard for people's rights. Reckless disregard for people's health. I mean, what'd you expect when you put Robert Kennedy Jr. as your, chief health person? My God. None of this should be surprising to them, right? Lesson to be learned is Knight of Pentacles. Yeah, maybe you should sit back and think about it. It's not all about money. A pentacle is also what value are you bringing? And right now they're observing this and they're thinking, maybe we shouldn't be so blindly rushing to support Trump's agenda. Outcome is the Ace of Wands. That's a very good outcome. This is about taking new actions. So we'll see what happens. It seems to me in Congress, let's look at the timing. What's the timing of these new actions, or what do we need to know about the new actions? See if I can go run with this. Okay, there's going to be a new truth that's coming out. There will be justice. This could be a truth that comes out in the courts, or a truth that's we'll see justice, and it's going to bring the end to a cycle. Okay, so that's encouraging. I was not expecting that at all. Of course, we don't have timing on this, right? So maybe that'll be a follow-up question on that. What's the timing of this? I mean, I'm seeing them chip around the edges. Gary, the analyst, assumes that the real pain of this is going to occur after the budget is advanced, if you will. The Republicans have basically said they're not going to support any more ongoing resolutions, that they're coming up with a new budget, which, hooray for them, it's only taken them 4 years to try and come up with one. So let's see. Let's look at the timing. We had the Ace of Wands, Ace of Swords. We had the Justice card, and we had the Ten of Swords. What's the timing on that? When are we going to see this truth and this justice in the end of this cycle? What do we need to know? What are we going to see? How will we know we're there? Okay, you'll see actions being taken. Just I'll go through that. Okay, actions being taken because Trump is trying to hold everything trying to keep everything for himself. So Congress is going to start trying to take actions. Trump is going to thwart them because it's not what he wants. He wants everything for himself. Underneath it, you've got the Seven of Pentacles. This could be Congress looking at these. There's all these wonderful things we could be doing, and we're not being able to do it because someone is saying gold, 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 mine, mine, mine. This is also reaping what you sow. Especially the House, they're most of them are elected based on what they can do for their constituents. You can have like a Marjorie Taylor Greene who's in a deep red district and she'll keep getting reelected just simply because she's loud and she makes headlines. She doesn't actually do anything though. In the past, so we had, like I said, we had the Ace of Wands, Ace of Swords, the Justice card, and the Ten of Swords, signaling that a new action is going to be taken, a new truth is coming forward, it'll be just, and it'll be the end of the cycle. So we're leading up to this. In the past, they've got the Eight of Swords, they're feeling trapped, they're not seeing a way out of this. The current energy will be the Page of Cups. They're just seeing all of the MAGA crazy going forward. The Emperor doesn't have clothes on, but no one wants to tell the Emperor that he's naked. Overarching energy is the government, Hierophant rather. It's about government institutions. This could be, they're starting to see the level of crazy. I'm not suggesting that he's going to have a mental health or some sort of physical breakdown. Maybe he just becomes more and more radical, and they realize this is not good for the government. This is not how a government should work. Could also be kneeling to the king, right? Lesson to be learned. There's that Ace of Swords again. So once we see this, that it's becoming more and more MAGA crazy, and that the government keeps stepping in. This could be the courts. This could be Congress. This could be Trump trying to make people bow to him or treat him like a king. Could be even the Pope. I mean, that's a very religious type looking figure. Could be Pope Leo comes in and starts making a difference. People start to embrace his message. But that's when the new truth will come out. Whatever that means, we're going to have to get some clarifiers on that. The new truth will come out, and the outcome is the Three of Wands. The ship will be finally coming in. It's also, this truth could be coming from overseas. This could be the Pope giving people a truth. Let's clarify, what is the Hierophant? What do we need to know about this? Okay, you've got the Seven of Cups. This is about confusions, delusions. Page of Wands. It's about new messaging. And then the Ten of Pentacles, the end of the cycle, this legacy, or basically you've got the old man being pushed to the side and the young people coming forth and taking over. What I'm getting from this is, so like I said, I wasn't suggesting that this is Trump's getting crazier and crazier, but this could be like, okay, this guy's getting delusional. Maybe, that maybe it's time for a new message, and it's time to park the old man, put him in an office like his dad and have him sign stuff and tell him how important he is. It's funny how, everything comes full circle, because that's what they did to his dad when his dad finally went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. All right. Let's take a quick look at MAGA and say, is there going to be any kind of signaling from MAGA when this is also happening? Because even MAGA is starting to say, we really support Trump, but even some of the MAGA guys are like, if this was Obama or Biden, we'd be having a litter of kittens right now. And even Loomer, who loves him dearly, to take a bullet for him, is like, nah, I'm not supporting this. Apparently there is an ethical code somewhere deep down in MAGA's personality. Okay, what a perfect card to read on MAGA. Okay, so how we know when MAGA is kind of turning the corner on this? What do we need to see? Okay, so Page of Cups, just they're enjoying the crazy. We'll just do a 4-carder on this, but it's becoming a burden. This, like I said, so Gary the analyst thinks that this is really going to start gaining some super duper traction after the budget gets approved, and they realize all of the cuts that are being put in there for like Medicare and stuff are going to be impacting MAGA, and it's going to make their life far more difficult. This could be the tariffs. That's another thing that's going to make their life far more difficult. Or the other clarifiers. It's a nightmare scenario. This could also be they're seeing that this is the finding out part of effing around, right? They were effing around and now they're finding out. And they have a choice to make, or they made a choice to support this. And underneath is the High Priestess. They're starting to gain wisdom. They're slowly getting there. So let's look at timing. What do we need to know about timing? Okay, there's the Hierophant. Trump, like I said, that could be Trump. There's your Justice card. And then the Four of Swords. So it could be Trump just overstepping his bounds. Justice, this could be the courts reining him in, or something comes out that shows how unjust he's been acting. And now you've got the Four of Swords, which is either contemplation or this guy needs to be put out to pasture, which would tie into some of the other cards that we were looking at earlier. I mean, getting MAGA to think, they haven't shown a strong propensity for, thinking and trying to explore inwardly what they really value and what really makes sense. They're very okay with people telling them what to think. All right, so that's what we got. Once again, tarot is so great at timing. But like I said, my gut feel is that this is going to happen sometime after they put this budget together and MAGA really starts to realize what the hell they just did. And then Trump's just going to be, either he's going to get more and more authoritarian or crazy, or he's going to have his health breakdown. It might be a little bit of both. So that's what I got for you. So I'd like to just thank you all for joining me and not David in this reading today. We really appreciate it. If you like these videos, give it a thumbs up. If you want to be woken up every night at midnight Pacific time, subscribe and hit the bell. check your subscription status. I know YouTube has been out there cleaning things up the last couple of Mondays, because we actually were net negative on the last 2 Mondays, which we weren't even doing anything controversial with our readings. I mean, if we did something controversial and we were like way off base, I kind of get it, but we're just doing our regular readings and we were going negative. It's just like, I think YouTube's messing around with the algorithms. So just check. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe, and we really appreciate it. Leave a comment. I read them all, respond to many. And unlike those bargain basement, Twin Tarot channels that don't pay tariffs and try and sidestep ethics laws, we're the Twin Tarot channel that wears the white hat and saves the damsel in distress, right? We pull you off the railroad tracks whilst the other channels, Twin Tarot channels, twist their wax mustaches and cackle maniacally as the train approaches, right? So I just want to give out a couple of shout outs. One to Grace Gilbert, who's been making some very thoughtful comments on the channel. Thank you, Grace. Appreciate it. And we're going to give you the 6 of Pentacles. A lot of good things coming your way, and don't be afraid to pass it to pay it forward. I'd like to give a shout out to Joni Johnson, who made a very thoughtful and generous contribution to the channel. We really appreciate that. We got the 5 of Cups. I think Joni had said that she finally figured out how to make contributions. I think it was her that said that. So thank you. We truly appreciate that. Don't need to be sad about that. Let's see, what else we got here? Oh, those are really the only ones I've got. I'll just give a shout out to whoever has left a comment recently on the channel. Let's see, who could that possibly be? Dun 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 dun. All right, and we're going to give a shout out to Elizabeth Rayleigh. Ooh, only 4 comments. Hey, Elizabeth, welcome to the channel. Hope you're enjoying this. Hope you're watching this video. We got for you the 6 of Swords. You're going to try and get this country out of these turbulent waters and into smoother waters. So hopefully we'll get there. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and a secret card for the rest of us. And then I'm going to go and have a beer with my wife. And how appropriate, ending with the Page of Cups. I'm not going to be drinking fish-flavored beer. I'm going to be drinking regular, good old-fashioned 805 beer from the San Luis Obispo area. So anyways, have a great day, folks. See you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.